Hello everyone, I'm Natalie, the health science educator at the Discovery Center, and my pronouns are they, them, and she, her. What are your pronouns? Pride Week in Halifax might be winding down, but here at the center, we're still celebrating diversity in our communities. In our last two videos together, we explored the importance of diversity for life, to survive and thrive. And we learned that biological sex is far more complicated than just XX and XY, but rather exists on a sort of spectrum. This is just one of the many spectrums in our world. In physics, visible light is on a spectrum, but so is the frequency of sound. We also see spectrums in fields like biology and medicine. We humans are part of this complex natural world, but the extra layers of culture and society means there are even more spectrums for us to exist on. Separate from biological sex, we have spectrums for the way we feel inside about our gender, or lack thereof, for how we express ourselves and our gender to the world, and for other orientations. While these spectrums are all independent of each other, getting to explore them is important to understanding ourselves and being true to who we are. So, what are the necessary ingredients that make up our unique identities? Let's jump into this exploration by heading to a well-known chemistry lab, the kitchen. Here, we will be baking a genderbread person that we will decorate with homemade icing to express ourselves along these spectrums. First, to make the cookies, you'll need to gather some tools. A few mixing bowls, a whisk, and a mixing spoon will help you combine your ingredients, while measuring cups and spoons will help you get the right amount of each ingredient. This is chemistry after all. You'll also want a person-shaped cookie cutter, a baking sheet, and a rolling pin. Now, grab your dry ingredients, including white all-purpose flour, dried ground ginger, cloves, and cinnamon, some baking soda to make your cookies rise, and salt. Whisk these ingredients together and set aside. Time for the wet ingredients. You'll need some room temperature butter and vegetable shortening, some white sugar and molasses, and a large egg. Then, whip the butter, shortening, and sugar until fluffy. Add in the molasses and the egg and beat until combined. Add dry ingredients to wet and mix until a dough forms. Wrap the dough in plastic and refrigerate for at least 3 hours. In the meantime, make your icing. Grab the tools you'll need, namely a bowl, a whisk, and a piping bag, and your ingredients, including icing sugar, milk, and lemon juice. Whisk together the lemon juice and milk and slowly add in icing sugar until thick, like sour cream. Feel free to make some different colored icing. Once your dough has rested in the fridge, preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Roll out the dough on a floured surface, cut out your cookies, place on the baking sheet, and bake for 12 to 15 minutes. Once the cookies are fully cooled, it is time to decorate. Write down one or more of the spectrums you'd like to explore, and line your icing to where you think you fit along the spectrum. I've decided to do my gender identity and gender expression here. If you want more information about these or other spectrums, head to genderbread.org for further reading. Keep in mind that these spectrums are independent of each other, meaning one does not determine the other, and that every possible combination is valid. If you aren't interested in, able to, or comfortable with exploring these spectrums at this moment, that's also okay. Feel free to represent other independent parts of yourself, like your interests or hobbies. For example, I added a magnifying glass here because I'm a scientist. That has nothing to do with my gender identity or expression, but it's still a part of who I am. If you had difficulty choosing a place on these spectrums, remember that we are using icing for a reason. Identity is fluid and doesn't have to last forever. While some folks might find an identity that fits them throughout their whole life, your own might shift and change as you grow and collect more information about yourself, just like a good scientist would do. Regardless of where you are today, don't forget that your identity is valid. Thanks for joining us in our science-y celebration of Halifax Pride Week, and remember that diverse identities are something to be enjoyed.